Tuesday. I'm so excited because we are back for another night with the vent. We're excited because we've been on this journey together about mindful consumption. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So we've been talking about mental health. We've been talking about taking an introspective look at yourself. We've been talking about all these different portions and parts of mental health. Like we've really talked about how it is not this one part of you, but your mental health affects your physical health and vice versa, right? Your emotional health is part of that, your spiritual health. Like we are a full being. So mental health also affects all these other parts of our lives and all these other parts of ourselves. So tonight's conversation is called Mindful Consumption, No Reservations. So for some people, you're like, no reservations. What are you talking about? So no reservation. And I'm gonna do an intro and then we're gonna do like all of our, where's my phone, y'all? I was running a little bit late today, but I thank you all for coming in. So when I talk about mindful consumption, when I talk about no reservations, one of the big things for me is as we've gone on this journey of tracing our trauma, like just a review of the last few weeks, we've gone through this journey where we traced our trauma, right? We looked at why we act the way we act, what, taking an introspective look, taking time to reflect on things that have happened to us in our past, things we've had to endure, things we had to overcome, or things we just experienced, whether it be negative, positive, good, bad, however you want to look at it, and see how that affects our decision making, how that affects the way we look at ourselves, how that affects, like our relationships with other people. So tonight we kind of want to take all those conversations we've had over this past month and kind of make a plan to go forward or try to implement some practices so that we're all not just having a conversation together, but we're also able to move forward in these with these gems that we've gotten, whether it's been from Mavis, whether it's been from that throwback conversation that we had with Sweat and Miss HJ. So it's really this almost like this mashup of these conversations. We'll talk about your key takeaways that you've gotten over the last few weeks. We'll talk about some things you may have gotten in the comment sections or some things you may have seen as you've just been kind of navigating this space during this month. And we'll talk about how we contribute to that as a community, right? Like how as a community we can support one another in this journey to improving our mental health, in this journey to holistic wellness, in this journey to just be a better you every day, how we can support each other communally in that, right? So I'm excited. I feel like I opened up real long, but I really want to get a full picture of who we are, what we're doing, and how we plan to move forward. For everybody that's joining on Instagram, hey, thanks for going in. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for chiming in. I don't know what kind of devices y'all on, so I'm going to share my screen in a little bit. If you're on Facebook, I'll be swapping over there too to say hey, and to welcome you in. If you're just completely new to the event, first of all, I just want to say, hey, thank you for coming in. I'm excited. My brother just came in. Hey, Bobby. If you're new to the event, I want you to know that this is a safe space to talk, right? You get to know us. It's a community. So while I may be on camera, there'll be times where there are other people on camera. We have special guests. There are times when somebody from the comments is like, burn me on camera. I got something to say. We do that. It's community. So it's not just a lecture where I'm talking and you're listening. It's all of us sharing in the conversation, offering advice, giving takeaways, asking questions. Very informal, structured, right, but informal at the same time. There's no stupid questions. There's nothing that's off limits. We talk about everything and we try to approach it from every angle. So whether it be spiritually, religiously, mental health, we try to pinpoint it because we are made up of so many different parts as one person. We try to pinpoint and address all of those points into a safe space with like a no judgment zone. So again, thanks for coming in. Hey, C. I appreciate y'all. Tonight's conversation, again, is kind of like a mashup of every other conversation we had this month because we really want this when it comes to mental health, when it comes to being holistically healthy, when it comes to, like just self-improvement. That's something that we all work on every day, something that many of us strive to do every day in our own way. Like we're all on our own journey, but that doesn't mean that we can't take bits and pieces from other people to help us along the way. So with that being said, everybody that's on, hey, I am watching from the events page, so I can't see everybody. Hey, Reby. But I can't see some of you. So hey, I am going to share my screen in a little bit. I do want to share something before we open all the way up. We have our in-person event coming up. So we will be joining together. Hey, Gavin. Hey, Marquise. So we'll be joining together. Our next in-person social will be June 29th. It will be in a 757. I know many of you are in other states and other regions. So we still want you to be a part of it. So I put out a link. Some of you have gotten a DM. But I want to send you your own vent piece. And what you'll do, I also send you a marker. And what you'll do is you'll just write what you bring to the event or what you've gotten out of the event. So we'll mail this to you. And then at our event on June 29th, you'll still be a part. Like we'll build our own tower. We did this at our first event where we had our own Jenga pieces and we built our own tower because without you, the event doesn't exist, right? So we all bring our own special piece, whether it be conversation, whether it be laughs, whether it be music, talent, whether it be a listening ear, whether it be, just a smile, compassion, empowerment, right? And I'm really just naming some stuff that people already said, but all of us bring a special piece to the community. So many of you are in other states, California, Texas, Missouri. I don't want to leave no state out and somebody gonna get me. Georgia, Maryland, Central Virginia versus Hampton Roads, Virginia, North Carolina, New York. So for people who can't come to the June 29th event, or if you are in the area, but you'll be visiting family or you won't be there June 29th, I would love for you to check out that link and I'll post it again after this live. I want to send you a free Jenga piece. And what we'll do is send you these two. You'll write either what you bring or we've been going strong since 2021, y'all. That's crazy to me, right? But what I want to do is send this to you. I want you to write what you bring, record a short video like this is what I've been doing with the event or, and then send your piece back. So when we stack our pieces at our in-person event, you'll still be there. And we'll send you a prepaid envelope so that you can send it back. And then after the event, we'll send it back to you. So when we do come to your city, you'll have your piece, right? And we'll be able to stack with you and those in your area. So we want to make sure that you have your piece. And we want to make sure it's free because everything is free. We send you prepaid postage. We send you a free envelope. You don't have to pay for anything. We just really want you to be a part of it. So I'll post the link again after. Some of you, if you check your DMs and you check your message request, because it's not from Miss Sweat page, it's from the Vent Live page. If you check your message request, you should have a message request from the Vent Live, and you could just fill out the Google form, and we'll make sure you get your piece. I'm telling you this tonight because I'm sending out the first batch tomorrow because I want to make sure that they get back in time. So I want you to be a piece. I want you to bring a part. So please, please fill that out. I'm looking forward to that. I'm super, super duper excited about that. And if you notice, like while I was in Chicago and while we were traveling North Carolina, the event was moving around. So we'll be moving, we'll be popping up in other places. And we really, really want you to be a part of that because we're a community. So that's like announcements or something, right? So I really want you to be part of our community. I want you to continue to be for people. I know some of you have been up here since we started. Some of you have been in and out. Some of you join us every week. Some of you pop in when you can. I understand everybody has a life. So thank you for coming in. Thank you for all your contributions to the conversation. It's been great. Let me see who else is up here. Hey, Henry. I'm super excited again because tonight we'll be talking about mindful consumption, and we'll be the title of tonight is No Reservations. No reservations. So tonight is a little bit different. As I was talking to somebody earlier today, and I was like, "Yo, ever since I've been trying to do this stuff with the event, and we've been kind of trying to upgrade with our technology, and like posting things in a different way so that we could connect with more people." Hey, Miss Hunt. It has been like every technical difficulty that you could possibly have, we have had. Like today I had y'all, like I'm a planner, right? So I had like our lower thirds planned out. I had the audience questions out. And every time I tried to post it and upload it here, my computer would say I had no connection. But in every other tab, I could do something. I'm like, we're talking about mental health. So of course this happens, right? So it's just been really funny that that's been going on. But hey, Carl. So I'm kind of hopping in. I'm excited. I'm gonna share my screen. So tonight we have like a what do I want to call it? Like a it's interactive. So it's like a poll. I don't know if any of you've ever done Mentimeter, where it's like a poll and you get to answer questions and you can see like other, it's anonymous, but you can see other people's answers. So I'm going to share my screen and it's really simple. It's not anything really deep. But the first thing I want to talk about with you guys, or the first thing I want to ask you is describe your mood right now. So what you'll do is you'll go to join at Menti. You'll go to menti.com and you'll use that code to I hope I'm sharing my screen. You'll use that code to join in on the, can y'all see it? Let me know if you can see it. If not, here's the QR code for people who may have two devices. You'll use that code to answer the questions. If not, excuse me, if not, you can always just answer the question. So the first question is, what is your mood right now? So if you had to use one word to describe your mood right now, what is your mood? So if you can't see, it's menti.com and you'll use the code that's on the screen. And I'll put it in the, y'all can't see it? Okay. I told y'all. Ever since I've been trying to like do new technology and stuff like that, it's like, no ma'am, let's try it this way. All right, is it showing now? If not, I'm just gonna ask the questions because I don't want to drag this out. If it's not working, we'll move on. All right. So this is what we'll do. We'll just move on. So if you could, in one word, describe your mood. So some of us have had a very good day. Some of us may have had a challenging day. Some of us may be tired. Some of us may be groggy. Some of us may be excited. Some of us may feel disappointed. Some of us may feel angry. Some of us may be frustrated. Some of us may be over the moon. So in one word, so you can use the QR code if you would like to, but in one word, describe how you're feeling now, right? We can't talk about mental health and talk about how we feel and address all these things and not ask people where they are. So Carl said he feels good. And one word, describe how you feel right now. I'm sorry, Carl said he feels great. Let me make sure I use the right word. So if you're on Facebook, same thing. In one word, describe your mood. In one word, hey, Reverend Lawrence, in one word, describe your mood right now. I would say that I feel excited. Excited would be my word. I'm going to comment as the vent live. Carl said he feels great. I feel excited, even with everything that's going on and my technology not acting right. I'm still excited. I still feel good. I still feel great. And while you're kind of thinking about that, I do want to do like a quick synopsis. If you haven't been here with us every week during May, if you haven't been here for every episode, the first week of May, our first episode, the first, I guess the first installation or the first part of this conversation was tracing trauma. So we took a look back at a past episode that talked about Black trauma. It talked about growing up with trauma, seeing certain things on social media, and we really addressed even the relationship that often outside forces try to pit Black women and Black men against each other. And we talked about how sometimes we act based on experiences that we had. So if we've had negative experience with certain types of people, if we have positive experience with certain types of people, if we grew up in a certain type of environment, and this doesn't matter what your ethnicity, what your racial background is, what your culture is, it is just based on what you've seen. Sometimes we act out or we act a certain way or we treat people a certain way because this is how I grew up. This is what I model. And sometimes, unfortunately, that stems from trauma, having traumatic experiences, and even taking on the trauma of those that came before us because all they knew was what they knew, and that's what they taught us. So we take that on and we start to operate in that space. So like some of the examples were given were like, if you're a child, as you know, many of us got whippings, or you know, certain things, and maybe now as an adult, maybe I don't whip my children, I don't beat my children, but I give them space to feel. Right, Miss HJ, one of the things she said, I give my child space to feel. I give my child space to process emotions and tell me how you feel. Don't just storm out. Let me know. You know, I don't want to talk about it right now, but I need to process, and then I'll come back later. Right? A trauma response often is, I'm just flying off at the handle. I'm just saying whatever comes to mind first without thinking or taking a moment. I'm just spewing out. Right? The second week, we talked about, we had Mavis on. Hey Mavis, we had Mavis on. Mavis and we talked about like religious trauma. We talked about, you know, different areas that you can kind of grow in. We talked about grief and how grief can look so different, how they're not just 5 stages to the grief cycle, how grief is not linear, but there's some moments where you can feel high up in the sky, and there are other moments where you feel like you don't want to get out of bed. Right, and how different people process that differently, and how you move forward in that differently, as well as grief is not always related to death. It could be to a loss, like loss of independence, loss of a certain level of relationship, loss of a job, loss of income. You know, it could be these different things that don't always relate back to death. And also, as we process it, knowing that even if you have a great day, you can also have a really bad day. Either way, you're processing, and that's okay. We also talked about not settling. So we talked about not settling in the sense of, you don't have to accept bare minimum. No matter what you've been through, no matter what your education level is, doesn't matter what your sex, your age, your gender is, you do not have to accept bare minimum because someone is offering it to you. You deserve the very best, whatever that looks like for you. You deserve to have all the things, you know, whatever that is for you, simply because you exist, right? Not because you've performed and you jumped through hoops and you've done all these things, but simply because you exist, simply because you were created. You do not have to settle for bare minimum or subpar, no matter what your situation is, right? One thing that I got a lot of feedback on, and I can't post the thing anyway. One thing that I got a lot of feedback on, a lot of great feedback on, was when we kind of went through this whole process of letting go and leaving with grace. So a goodbye can be a goodbye with grace. Like, I don't have to leave and there's an issue. I can leave a situation and I can leave with grace. It doesn't have to be on bad terms. It could just be that season is up, that time is up, we're no longer friends, and it's okay. Nobody's fussing anybody out. Nobody's ready to fight, right? Nobody's ready to burn the building down. It's just done, and that's okay. And we're moving on with grace, knowing that, you know, this isn't what it was, but moving forward, we can both move on to better and different, and it doesn't discount anything or anyone. So that was one of the things that, at least for my encounters with other people really enjoyed those conversations and were able to get some really good takeaways from those conversations. So I really do appreciate that. I'm excited about that, because that means that we are in these conversations together. And I can't share my screen, but I do want to share that someone put they feel reservation right now. Someone put that they feel calm right now. And another person put that they feel peace right now. So I'm excited. I'm excited for that, because no matter where you are, hey Lena, no matter where you are, no matter where you may be in your journey, no matter where you may be geographically, no matter where you may be like in relationships, or whether you're trying to find a job, or, you know, like, we all find ourselves in different moods. Like, I was one mood this morning. I'm a totally different mood right now. I was one mood like 10 minutes ago. Now I'm in a totally different mood. So it's even okay as we process our different emotions from different spaces. So I'm excited about that. So the next question, y'all know, again, this is conversational, so I definitely want to hear from you. So that was kind of like a review, and I definitely wanted to know, kind of do a temperature check to kind of see where everybody was. We have some people peaceful, great, have some reservations. We have some people that are excited. So that's good to know that even in different spaces, we can still process and we can still join in conversation together. So of course, I have another question, right? So my next question is, what has been, as we talk about those things that we kind of been through, what's your biggest takeaway from this series? So we've talked about saying goodbye with grace. We talked about tracing your trauma and getting down to why you do what you do. We talked about navigating grief and how that journey can look different for different people, and that's okay. Like some of us can process, some people can process grief individually and they can get through it. Some people need more community support. Some people may need to talk to a counselor or a therapist. No matter where you are, that's okay, right? We talked about not settling, or was it just something completely different? So if you're in the menti.com poll, I would love for you to answer that now. If not, you can answer in the comments. So your biggest takeaway from this series, what's been your biggest takeaway? Has it been that you can say goodbye with grace, right? Has it been that you kind of take a introspective look and you say, you know what, I do have some trauma that I'm dealing with or I've dealt with or that I've processed, and knowing those things affected me has helped me to move forward. It has helped me to help other people. It could be navigating grief. So many of us may have lost someone very special to us or lost certain people, certain things, certain securities. And now we're finding ourselves trying to navigate it, or we've been navigating it for a while and we've learned about ourselves. Or, maybe we're not in the best space, but we recognize it, right? We acknowledge it. Or if you just had to hear, like, you know what, I don't have to settle. And that's good enough for me to be able to move forward and to process and to have this holistic journey to health. Or was it something else? So as you look, and honestly, it could be from any conversation. So it could be one of the conversations we had this month, or it can be a conversation that we've had. We've talked about so much here. We've talked about you deserve luxury. We've talked about friendships changing and how they can look different in different seasons, and how the person you may have been friends with since kindergarten isn't your friend anymore. How do you navigate that space? We've talked about your network being your net worth. So who you're connected to often can either box you in or propel you forward. We've talked about economic stability and what that looks like in the Black community. We've talked about Kari. I posted a clip from when Kari was up here, and we talked about a letter from the angry Black woman. So often Black women get this label of anger and being upset, when it's really a lot of times misconceptions and being misunderstood. So we talked about that. We talked about the church or religious institutions and anti-intellectualism. So my sister Leticia was up here for that. That was a really good conversation. We've talked about so many things. So if you could answer that, I would love to hear what your kind of, if you could go back to any event episode, maybe that's what I want to say, right? Because again, this is like an overview. So if you could go back to any event episode that you've been on, that you've been able to take part in, that you've listened in on, that you caught a clip from, what would you say would be like one of your biggest takeaways? Hey, Paper Chaser 9, what would you say is one of your biggest takeaways from an event episode? We talked about relationships. How could I forget relationships? We did a whole 4-part series on relationships, right? What your expectations are, what your non-negotiables are, what type of person you're looking for, what your dating experience has been like. We've even had a conversation with DeAndre Carswell about dating and being in ministry. So, for people who may be in ministry or dating someone in ministry, we had a conversation about that and what that looks like. I don't know if Chap is up here, but Aggie Chap, Jonathan, he is a Army chaplain. So we had a chaplain chat about what that looks like and what that kind of entails. So one person said goodbye with grace, saying goodbye with grace. That's one of my favorite ones as well. Saying goodbye with grace, probably that one. And when we did a letter from the angry Black woman, because a lot of Black women get that label, and it's a mislabeling, oftentimes because people don't always take the time to really get to know people, but they just make assumptions. Hey, Miss Valeda. Hey, Miss Keisha. So my next question to the audience, my next question to our crew that is out is, what advice? So I want to hear from you. What advice would you give to your younger self? So we talk about mental health as you kind of process where your life is now, as you look at where you want to go. What advice would you give to your younger self, or your past self. And I was talking to somebody earlier. I was like, your past self could have been you yesterday. Right? What advice would you give? Hi, Mary Liz. What advice would you give to your past self or your younger self? If you could say, let me tell you this, or I wish I would have known this, or if I want to share this with someone else as they go through their journey. If I, like some people have like a word or a phrase or a scripture or a quote that they kind of like live by and they stand on. When all else fails, I know this, right? So what advice, even if you say, well, I don't have any regrets, I wouldn't tell my younger self something. What would you tell to someone else? What advice would you give to someone else? Like if someone came up to you and said, if you could tell me one thing to improve my life, what would it be? What would you say to that person? And we'll take some time to kind of chew on that. Again, if you want to answer it in the poll, you can scan the QR code that is on the screen. But I really want to know, because we all have these different journeys. Some of our things overlap, some things we have in common, but many of us have taken totally different, we live in different geographical regions, we're different ages, we're different genders, we have different vocations, we've had different life experiences, we've had, like we're at different places in like relationships. Some of us have children, some of us don't. Some of us have grown children, some of us have little children, like we found ourselves in so many different spaces. So what advice would you give to your younger self, or to um another version of you, like a younger version of you, a past version of you? And we'll take a little time to chew on that. And again, if you want to use a QR code, you are welcome to do that. But what advice would you give to your younger self, or to a past version of yourself? What would you say to yourself? I think if I had to answer that, I would say, and I answered this question in a different way. Like last night, somebody asked me, if what's your like one regret? Like if you could go back and change something, what would it be? And I like to say that I don't have any regrets, because I wouldn't say live by this. So y'all grown, right? I wouldn't say live by this, but in many areas of my life, I say this. I'm like, don't ask permission, ask forgiveness. I don't know if that's the best thing to live by. Hey, Darrell's Diary. I don't know if that's the best thing to live by. But I always say that, like, don't ask permission, ask forgiveness. And like, as long as you're not risking your life or causing anyone else harm, I would say, don't ask permission. I mean, yeah, don't ask permission, ask forgiveness. Like, ooh, I didn't know. Like, sometimes I will intentionally not ask a certain question, because if I ask the question, I'll know, and then I won't have an excuse. So I would say, one is don't ask. I just went left there, but that's something that I do live by wholeheartedly, and I'm not ashamed of that. I think I do that with caution, and I do that with boundaries. Let me be clear. But I think when I answered the question last night, when the person asked me, like, you have any regrets? I said, and I was honest, and he was like, you don't have to answer it quickly. And my thing was like, I've been doing, since we honestly, before we've been doing this mental health thing, as we were approaching it, and kind of like as I've been taking a very introspective look at myself, where I am, because I've been doing a lot of work on myself for various reasons, right? For personal reasons, for ministry reasons. One, because the load on my job, like I work as a hospice chaplain, so I have to like center myself a lot. I have to take a look at myself and what I'm carrying, because I'm also caring for other people. And I don't always want to intermix and mingle that. Like some days I need to make sure, like, okay, let me get myself together before I walk into this space, and before I can really truly serve in this space. And I think the other part of that is, and I said this, I think on another live or something, like I just started back like dating. That's funny to me, because when I tell y'all, it was a point in life, and I'm going like real personal, right? I love y'all, y'all love me, so we good. Where I just was like not wanting to date nobody. Like I do not have time. I have things to do. So like that's probably not the best, outlook to have. But I started back dating, right? So I think for me, I want to be in a good healthy mental space to date, so I can be the best version of me. And I never want to be a liability to anyone. I always want to be an asset, right? And I want to have clear thinking when I'm dating, because I also have a standard. So I'm not just dating any and everybody. Like, no, no, ma'am, no, sir. Right. So that's part of it. And also just being a better mother. Like I want my daughter to be able to grow up in a healthy, or to continue, like she's grown up in a very healthy environment. So I want her to continue to grow up in a healthy environment. And in order for her to do that, like I have to be in a good space. So I want to be in the best space for the people that I serve in ministry, for my home life, for me and my personal life, not just dating, but just for me as me, for me. Like I want to be good for me, to me, for me, and also be an asset to another person. So, and I'm not willing to accept everything. So with it, I said my biggest regret was not speaking up. Like there's so many moments when I felt like looking back, oh, I wish I would have said something. Right. Whether because I'm very like also very not defensive, but I defend the people that I love. I'm very protective over people that I love and care about. So I was like, I wish I would have said more. There's some moments where I wish I would have used my voice, and not necessarily for me, but for other people. But there are also moments, and just being very transparent, in relationships where I felt like I shrunk back to make the other person comfortable, and I don't want to ever do that again. Right? I like you should show up as your full self everywhere that you go, and if you have to shrink in the presence of others, you don't need to be around those people. Right? They're not good for you. But that starts inside, and your confidence, and your, you know what I'm saying, you being like, either they're gonna accept me or they're not. And my people, I'm in the space now. My people are my people, and the people that's not my people are not my people, and I'm okay with that. Right? And it has been a journey, right? And I'm sharing just very transparent because one of my friends too said that I don't share my story enough, and this is just a very very small part of my story, but I do want to be, very clear that it's a journey to be okay, almost like with rejection or not being accepted by certain groups or certain people. But at this point, like my people are my people. And I don't mean like my people like below me. I mean like the people that I roll with, the people that I care about, the people part of my community. Like we good. We good. We together, we rolling, right? So Sierra said, take the risk. So going back to the question, right? Because y'all know I'm about this. Going back to the question, what advice would you give to your younger self or your past self? Let me see. C said, take the risk and bet on yourself. All you have is all you need. That's good. Like bet on yourself. Like you, and that's part of our conversation tonight. Like that's part of our that's a big part of our conversation tonight. Is you have, no matter where you are, you have what you need, right? To just, even if it's what you need to get started, and you will pick up other things and other people and other resources along the way. You know what you need. You have what you need. You can do it. Like many of us, you've been putting in the work. You've been putting in the work to go to counseling. You've been putting in the work to invest in yourself. You've been putting in the work to become a better person. You've been putting in the work. Bet on yourself. All right. Sierra said, bet on yourself. You have what you need. And even if you don't have every single thing that you need, as you continue going, like when you bet on yourself, you're taking a risk. Like, okay, I know that I can do this. I might not have all the details. I might not know everything, but this can be done and I can accomplish it. So bet on yourself and move forward in it and go for it. A lot of things don't appear until we start putting ourselves in spaces and we start trying new things. Like the best place to be is like outside of your comfort zone. Once you get past that, you're like, well, I'm out here now. Right? And just start going for things that maybe you wouldn't have considered before. But once you put yourself out there and you're like, it's sink or swim, you're like, I'm swimming. Like most of us, right? And if not, there are people that would be there to help push you and help carry you. But go for it. Like whatever it is that you thought was too big. We had this conversation too, right? Just do it. Like go for it. Start. And a lot of times when you start, pieces will start coming together. But if you stay stagnant and you don't bet on yourself, you're going to stay stagnant and you're not going to bet on yourself, and you'll just always have what you always had. But if you're willing to take that risk, you can really branch out there and get more than you could have ever imagined. Like it's just off simple things like going, and which could seem like a big deal in a moment, but just going and approaching a certain person like, man, I don't know how they're going to respond to me. The worst thing, and I know, again, if you have anxiety, some of us are very shy, but the worst thing that they can say is no. The worst thing that they can do is, like, not right now, I don't know. Okay, you took the risk. Me, it's like no regret. So if I walk up to you or we have the conversation and it doesn't pan out, something else will, right? So, and I won't have to wonder like, dang, what would have happened if I would have said something to them, right? Carl said, always give 100% in all you do. Be the best that you can be. 100%. And you never know who's watching. You never know who's drawing inspiration from you, even if they never tell you. you never know who's even modeling after you, because they see you giving it your all. They see you not giving up. You don't even know how many lives you saved and how many people you've inspired. They may never say anything to you, but they see you going hard and they like, man, if you can do it, I can do it. If that person can go after it, and then you help give them the confidence to move forward too. That's good. Hey, God, verse 23. Carl also said, failure is not the end. It's only a lesson that can make you stronger. Stop being afraid to fail. That's it. Somebody I forgot the book, but it's this book about failing forward. Like, the more you like try things, and even if you don't get it right, you learn along the way, right? Like, many of us, and I always default to relationships, because all of us have some type of relationship, whether it's familial, whether it's an employee relationship, whether it's job related, whether it's ministry related, whether it's romantic, whether it's platonic, whether it's friends. All of us have some type of relationship, and many times we failed in a friendship, like we did somebody wrong, or somebody did us wrong, or we didn't have a good work environment, or we had to learn different family dynamics. But oftentimes we did fail in a certain way, right? Like, we said the wrong thing, we did the wrong thing, we didn't give people the right reaction, maybe we didn't show enough support, we didn't visit enough, whatever it is, it's a type of failure, but you learn from it. So okay, I know your personality type, so now maybe I don't value gifts, but I spend time with you because you like quality time. So yeah, I failed when I kept giving you gifts. But now that I know you like quality time, I'm here. Right? So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I failed. I messed up. But I also learned along the way. So failure teaches us so much. And I think this, like, and I'll try not to get to the government thing a lot, but like this capitalist society that we live in, and this go get it, you got to do it, you got to get it right. Like, we get into this mindset of, if you mess up, it's over. No, if you mess up, that part is over, but you still have so much more to learn and to grow into. Like, I think about like inventors. Like, do you think that Madam CJ Walker just woke up and created like hair products? No, she made some mistakes along the way, and she finally got, like, whatever the ingredients right. Like, George Washington Carver was out here with peanuts and stuff. He didn't get it right the first time, but he kept trying different things and adding and taking away. He failed, I'm sure, a lot, right? I wasn't there because I'm not old enough to be there, right? But I'm sure he failed a lot, but at some point he got it right. Right, Shirley Chisholm, my girl, love her. She's a Delta politician, this woman that really made waves. Granted, she didn't get the candidacy for presidency, but she made strides along the way. So maybe she didn't become the president, but she was the first Black woman to be a representative in the area that she was in, right? She was the first Black woman to get that far to be on a major party's ticket, right? So some people could view that as failure, but we're still talking about her, right? We're still talking about her in 2024. We're still talking about this woman. So it's all in the way you even look at it. Like, yeah, somebody may say that's failure, but for you, it's a lesson learned. And it's for many other people, it's like that. If I can see it, I can be it. I saw that on something. If I can see it, I can be it. So if I can see other people striving for it, if I can see somebody going after it, even if they don't get it, right? Like, Serena didn't win every match. She didn't win every Grand Slam. She didn't win every title. But she made progress. Michael Jordan got cut from teams. Somebody could say that's failure, but he is the GOAT. Like, y'all, people is buying Jordans from 1995 and 2024 for ridiculous prices. Right? So I like failure. It's like, it's not a thing. Like, it happens. Sure, we learn from it. We go. And I don't mean to like minimize it, but what I'm saying is, like he said, don't be afraid of it, because once you do it, it's time to go forward and move on to the next thing. And you can do it, and even take examples of other people who have gone on to do great things after they failed because they didn't give up. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying what he's saying, right? Another response, if you could give advice to your younger or past self, someone said on the poll, said, take care of your temple and value your worth. Absolutely. And I would say temple in this sense is your body, it's your mind, it's your spirit, it's you holistically. Eat good, drink water, right? Of course, you have some fried chicken, you can have some candy and some, you know what I'm saying? But on the regular, like, feed good things to your body, be good to yourself. Go to sleep, get some rest, Say no to people, set boundaries, cut out people who talking crazy to you and don't deserve to be in your space, right? All these things are your temple. What are you feeding yourself? Like, what are you listening to? Are you giving affirmations to yourself? Depending on whatever your relationship or your religion is, right? Are you listening to scriptures, to positive music, to things that are soothing? Are you giving yourself downtime to kind of wind down from things that stimulate you when you're trying to go to bed? Like, are you going to sleep, or are you getting good rest, right? So take care of your temple is all of the above. Like, who has access to you, who has access to your body, who has access to your ideas in your mind, because that means something, right? Someone else said, set boundaries and standards for yourself early on, no matter what. Set boundaries and standards for yourself early on, no matter what. I love that. Let me tell you why I love that, because setting boundaries can often be hard to do, right? So for many of us, and that's why I say, like, today is an overview, because setting boundaries can sometimes make it seem like you're mean or you're rude and you want to apologize, like, oh, I'm sorry. No, don't apologize. Right? And I'm saying this, and I mean it, and I'm laughing, but I mean it, because setting boundaries helps you take care of you. So we love other people, we care about other people, we're in relationship with other people, but also you have to take care of you. So if that you have to tell some people no, be prayerful about it, think about it, whatever your process is, be intentional about your no. But you have to tell people no sometimes. You have to set a boundary, you have to set a standard. Because if you're accepting everything, you let people walk all over you and do everything to you, it just shows how much maybe you're not valuing yourself, or we putting other people above us all the time. Don't get me wrong, there are certain times when you want to be altruistic, and you want to be, follow this utilitarianism, and you want to put the needs of others first. There's a time and a place for that. So with that boundary, okay, is this a time where I put the needs of others first, or this is a time where I come first? Like, finding that healthy, because it's nothing wrong with being altruistic, it's nothing wrong with being utilitarian. However, there should be a boundary there where I care about people, I serve people. However, I have to take care of me too, and I have to have moments for me too. So thank you for saying that. We have one more on Facebook too. Miss Valeda said, don't sell yourself short. The sky is the limit. And that's it. That is like the vent 101. Like, you can do anything, and you have community. Like, even if it's just the community you have with us online, there are people who, when you go out there and you put yourself out there, they're going to be free to now put themselves out there, and even in some moments, support you and what you're doing. Don't sell yourself short. Don't settle for, oh, well, this is just good enough, when you could have great, right? Don't settle for, oh, this is okay, when you can have the best. You deserve the best. You deserve all the great things that you can imagine. Like, if you couldn't imagine it, you wouldn't be reaching for it. So imagine it, go after it, and know that you don't have to do it by yourself, and you don't have to accept bare minimum and be like, oh, well, this is all I can get. No, you can go after those great things and those big things, and you can attain them and achieve them. I was at a speaking of that, and then I am gonna move on to the next thing, because we have about 10 more minutes. Speaking of, I was blessed to be able to MC at a event, a May Week event, through my sorority, and we honored local heroes, right? People, I'm from this small, and I always tell people I'm from a small town. I often have to tell them, like, it's close to, like, it's not far from Virginia Beach, like another major city, right? And I'm like, I see all these people from, like, Franklin, Boykins, rural areas of North Carolina, and all these areas, and they've done these great things. And granted, everything is not about connecting with other people, or being a celebrity, but it's like often we get discounted because of where we're from. Like, people look at Franklin like, oh, what's there? Walmart. Yeah. But I'm surrounded by all these people who are from Franklin, Ivor, Cortland, right? Places that some of y'all ain't never heard of, this up here, right? And they've been on stage with people like Ty Tribbett and the Clark sisters, and they won Stellar Awards and all these things. And they're from Franklin, right? And often people will say, oh, you're from a small city, you got to be from New York, you got to be from LA, you got to be from Atlanta, you got to be from these spaces. But I know people, right, who have done great things, gone to the NFL, done these great things, and whatever greatness is for you, gone on and made huge impact in the fashion industry in other countries, and they're from this small little city. And if they would have had the mindset of, oh, I'm just from Franklin, oh, I'm just from Cortland, I ain't gonna be able to do nothing, they wouldn't be able to choose it. But something inside of them said that, you know what, I deserve the best, I deserve better, I can achieve the same things as anyone from a major city, so I'm gonna go after it. And they had the tenacity and the grit and the gumption to go after it. And like, I really hope that we can have that same thing. Like, no matter where you're from, even if you are from a big city, if you are from a small town, if you're from the South, if you're from, like, no matter what, you can achieve great things. So don't let where you're from, don't let, systems and people and, like, break out of it. Like, you don't have to accept it. You don't have to accept, oh, you're from Franklin. Oh, you're from this small city. Oh, you grew up this way. So no, you can't. No, you can have all the things that you desire, all the things that you go after. So don't, like Miss Valletta said, don't sell yourself short. Don't cap out at, well, I make this amount of money and this is all I ever do. Like, you have to, in some moments, be crazy enough to believe that you can do it, and you do it. You go after it, even after the failures, right? So thank you for sharing that. We have, I think, one more question. So thank y'all for sharing. The next question I want to ask is how can we support you? So as event community, hi Terrence, as event community, as part of being part of the event movement, watching us, coming in to our conversation, giving your advice, giving your expertise. Sorry, y'all, my allergies are like the worst right now. Coming in, no matter how you join us, as you go through this journey, as you grow to be better, grow in relationship, go in community, how can we support you? So like, what can we do to be present for you? Like, that's my last question. So we host these Tuesday night lives, and we talk about, anything and everything. Nothing is off limits. We're gonna start hosting more in person socials and different types of events in person and in different areas. So we'll be in Virginia, we'll be in Georgia, we'll be in different states as well. So you joining in our conversation, you being a part of our community, you contributing, you taking pieces from the space. How can we support you? How can we show up for you? Does that mean, I guess, for like example, does that mean that we have different, like, are there any other subjects or any other topics that you would want to talk about? Like, you've been like, man, I can't wait for us to talk about this, right? Whether it be a different topic. Have you been watching and maybe you're not in the area and you're like, why don't you guys come to Las Vegas? Right? Are you, are you in a space where you're like, well, man, we do this online weekly. Maybe we can do this in person more often than like quarterly. Are there resources? Like, do you want like a event like chat room where, okay, we're not live Wednesday at 10, but I would love a space where I could go in and type a question or type a topic and ask people what they think about it, and other people would chime in. So if you could like enhance the event, or if you could add something to the event, or if you could contribute and be like, if the event had this, I would be the first one in line to be a part of it. What would yours be for us to support you? Do you want to see more? Maybe you want to see more special guests. Like this year, we've had Mavis, we've had Fitz, we've had, who else have we had this year? We haven't had a whole bunch of people this year. We had Jonathan, that was this year. We had our chaplain chat this year. So what else would you want to see, be a part of? What would you add? What would you maybe even shift a little bit? And like, if the event had this, I would be like first in line, or I'll be the first one to join. I would definitely contribute my thoughts, my opinions. I would bring people with me. What would you add to it? And I'll give you some time to think about that. And for the people who may have just come on or want in at the beginning, if you are part of our community, which if you join, we're like, come on in. We cousins now, right? We have an event on June 29th in the 757 area. If you're not able to make it to the event in June, we want you to still take part. and be a part of what we're building, right? So at our first event, we did this Jenga block, and we built based on what you bring to our community. So we would love to send you completely free your own vent piece and a marker where you can write on it and say what you bring, no matter where you are in the world. We want you to be part of that event if you can't make it in person. And while we're there, we'll build up our Jenga blocks, and you will still be there, right? Your piece will still be there. So we want you to be included. Again, I'll post that link after this live ends so that you're able to click and be a part of that. It's completely free. You'll mail it back to us, and we'll post it when we build our Jenga tower at our next event, and then we'll mail it back to you. Everything is free. We just need your information so that we can make sure that we get it to you in time so that you can be a part of that. So I'm super excited about that, because no matter where you are, whether you join us virtually, whether you join us in person, whether at some point this year or next year we'll be coming to a city near you, we want you to continually be a part of it. Like, you don't have to wait until next year to be a part. You can do it right now. So again, thank you everyone for coming on. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate everything. Your sharing, your being part of the conversation, your vulnerability, your transparency is always exciting, because we're community and we really do need one another. We really do build our community based on all the different voices coming in. So thank you for joining tonight. Remember that you don't have to have any reservations. Whatever it is that you are striving to do, now is the time. Go full force ahead. No reservations about if you can do it, because you can. Also, don't allow people that should not be in your life, that are trying to pull you back, that you don't have no business being with, be able to make a reservation with you. You are letting them know you are not available. You are fully booked. So we have no reservations about moving forward. We also have no reservations, no availability for things that don't serve us. So that's how we move forward. That's how we have mindful consumption. And that is how we continue to press forward, move ahead, and be all that we can be holistically, right? So thank you for joining us tonight. I cannot wait to see you next week. We have some more surprises. We have some more things coming up. So I will see you soon.